Oh, wait, gotta go accept that.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, hi everybody. We have a really exciting guest lecture today. We have Jarrell from Midplex. So I'll go ahead and let him do his intro and get started.
Hello. Hello. Okay. Probably won't need it. My voice travels anyway. Hi everybody. Welcome to my guest lecture, I guess. Yeah, my name is Jarrell Santos. As you can tell, I put a lot of effort into my presentation, which I actually did, just not the graphics because I'm not a graphic designer. But yeah, I'm here to represent my company, Midplex Labs. We were called something else a year ago, but then we name changed, and that's been a pain in the ass since. But yeah, and I'm going to be telling all of you guys about NFTs. Yay! So yeah, it's going to be, I know you're going to hate this, but there's going to be some level of interaction in this because NFTs are very straightforward. So like the best way to learn about what this technology is or does or its use cases is just to get your hands in it. Yeah, most of our users and customers are dumber than like the average person. So that's why I have high confidence you'll pick this up really quickly. And I say that, yeah, I'm not even exaggerating. We have very, very interesting users that we're very excited to showcase you guys instead. So yeah, but let's just dive into it. So here's my outline for today. So we're just going to go into what is an NFT. I'm going to ask you guys that. What composes an NFT? Why NFTs? Some NFT standards that some people might be familiar with. And if you're not familiar with, you will be after this lecture because there's only two. And then the NFT marketplaces, there's not very many of them, or there used to be a lot of them, but now there's not very many of them. But we'll go into why that happened. And then legal implications, especially around the contemporary issues surrounding royalties, etc. Future of this technology in Web3, and then some case studies. So y'all have something to take home with. And yeah, we'll do some demoing at the end. And then you can ask me anything after all of that, because I guarantee you're gonna have a lot of questions because everybody always has a lot of questions after I demo anything NFT related. So yeah, so a good chunk of that will be for questions. So you guys can ask me anything because I'm knee deep in this bullshit all the time. So cool. Before I actually just dive into that, I went to Cal a few years back. I graduated 2019. So go Bears. Yeah, I make any excuse to come back up here just because it's, I don't know, nostalgic for me. But yeah, I didn't study anything related to this. So I'm a very odd expert in this space. I actually studied political economy. I did not study blockchain or computer science or data science or whatnot. So that should tell you the level of what NFT like interactions are like. Not to say I'm like dumb or anything, but it's just like not that hard. So, but we're going into that. Yeah, just another quick background as well. I did the Berkeley Blockchain Accelerator here last year. So Berkeley was actually the reason this company even exists. And then we actually joined Y Combinator in summer of 2022. So we're funded, we're good. We're gonna be around for a while. So yeah, but let's just dive right in. So, oh gosh, all right. What is an NFT? Does anybody know in this room? Did anybody do the reading that I asked to send out? Does anyone know what an NFT is or what it stands for? Oh, in the back. You. Yes, non-fungible token. Yes, that is correct. So non-fungible implies the existence of fungible tokens. So fungible tokens are what you know as like Shiba coin, all the shit coins from the ICO craze back in 2017. Those were all fungible tokens. So the natural evolution from that was non-fungible. They're like, why don't we make it unique? So yeah, but what is it? What is an NFT? Well, a lot of you probably recognize what this is. Who knows what this is? Exactly, Bored Ape. So is an NFT a JPEG? Is it a key? Is it a membership? So a lot of people talk about NFT memberships. Is it unique art? A lot of conversations about one-of-one art and how NFTs were gonna save the art world or artists in general. Or is it anime? I see so many hundreds of thousands of projects are like anime-esque related. I don't know why, but they just love it. But that's not what NFTs are. NFTs are simply this, immutable data. It's immutable data. What is immutable data? Well, that is a good question. It is simply data does not change. So the reason people really were excited about NFTs was simply because you could look back at a transaction and see the history of where that asset was being transferred. So similar to a fungible token and like the blockchain, wallet addresses and whatnot that I'm sure you guys learned about in the last few weeks or so. You could trace back the history of where this certain asset moved. And because that NFT was unique and immutable, that's all that it is. It's just immutable data. So what composes an NFT? So there's this, usually it starts with a minting website. We're gonna go through the flow that a normal user, like just a layman user, not a creator, but somebody who's minting an NFT goes through. So you usually start with a minting website and you invoke this mint transaction. So you're basically buying the NFT. Oh, I'm minting it from a smart contract. And then your Metamask pops up. So that's your wallet, right? So I hope some of you guys know what Metamask is. Does anyone know what Metamask is? What's Metamask? Yeah, exactly. So Metamask is like the most developer-friendly wallets provider. So they support this thing called a self-custodial wallet. So that's like a whole other thing. Not even gonna dive into what self-custodial, semi-custodial, and custodial is. But basically, MetaMask is one of the most developer-friendly wallets out there. So typically, most people will transact with MetaMask or Coinbase Wallet or Rainbow Wallet or whatever wallet you can think of. There's like hundreds, and then there's even more in my DMs telling me I should adopt that wallet provider. So yeah, but we'll stick with MetaMask because it's simple. So yeah, and then from there, that's actually when you finally start interacting with the smart contract. So in this, we'll just talk about the Ethereum blockchain and EVM compatible chains. Hopefully you guys know what that means. If you don't, that's okay. Just write it down, look it up later. But basically the smart contract is kind of like a mine. So it will tell everybody how many tokens exist, how many of this non-fungible token exists, and it handles everything. It's like the motherboard inside of a computer. It tells everything what to do. And then this is the off-chain metadata, or well, actually there's two different types of metadata you can use, off-chain or on-chain. Typically you'll see most NFT providers will use an off-chain metadata source, but on-chain metadata is getting more and more popular, but we won't dive into that. You guys can look that one up later. But yeah, but anyways, this is literally all that an NFT is. It's simply a media source and a smart contract. That's it. It's two things. It's two things. And a lot of people get very scared when they first interact with an NFT because they're like, oh, but like crypto, but like I'm signing a transaction. But really, it's a glorified receipt. You are interacting with a smart contract to get a receipt that you own this JPEG or key or membership or anime. I don't know. So we're going to hyper focus though on two parts, the smart contract and the metadata. So some tools to launch a smart contract like us, Mintplex, Manifold, Nifty Kit, and then image and metadata tools like NFTinator, Bueno, Hashlips, or our other product, Mint Foundry. So we'll start with the smart contract. Do any of you guys know what Solidity is? Are you familiar with Solidity at all? Okay, so Solidity is the code or the I guess the coding language that Ethereum uses to interface with their blockchain. So I might have teased this thing called EVM So that's called Ethereum virtual machine. So EVM compatible chains all use or can compile Solidity. That's for the technical ones in the audience, but like you don't need to know all that stuff for what's next. So, but let's focus on the smart contract. All right, this is what you normally see when you go into something like Etherscan. It's just a typical contract. It'll tell you a bunch of stuff related to just related to the contract itself. So this is our flight pass. I'm only using this because I'm not allowed to use some of our other clients stuff. So just using our NFT. But typically, you'll see that there's a contract creator. So as I was saying, it's traceable. So the person who makes the contract, and then where the transaction is, what the token tracker is, and then a bunch of other stuff. So like transactions, internal transactions, token transfers, contract events, analytics, all public, right? And it's immutable. We cannot change anything in this contract. I can't, okay, wait. I can't say not anything, but like there's limits. So I don't want to end up saying something that's completely false. And then this is what like the contract code usually looks like. We just put like an ASCII art. I don't want to go into all what the code looks like, but all this is public. So the cool thing about blockchain, the cool thing about Ethereum is that all of this data, all of these contracts are public and you can see the source code. So a lot of people will just copy and paste the same code. We'll just rip Mintplex's code and just redeploy it themselves. And that's totally fine because it's public. So, but that's basically it. Like that is what composes the smart contract, is just simple solidity. And you'll see like two usual things, like something called the token URI. You see the token URI? That's really the most important thing. And that connects to your metadata. So let's talk about metadata then. So if you want to scan this, don't worry, it's only a virus. But if you scan this, you'll see when you go to that URL that it goes to IPFS. So does anyone here know what IPFS is? Not you. I know you know. Does anyone know what IPFS stands for or what IPFS is? Any takers? All right. Well, IPFS stands for Interplanetary File System. So has nothing to do with planets, but for some reason they call it that. But that is essentially a decentralized storage system. And so IPFS is generally the most used metadata and image storage solution for NFTs. So if you're basically on any blockchain, you'll almost always see an IPFS hash. So if you like look up here, it'll say image IPFS, and it's probably going to match what's in this QR. So, but this also in itself, this metadata gets stored on IPFS. And if you remember what that token URI thing is, basically in the smart contract that says what an NFT is, that token URI will contain this metadata. And that's it, just two parts. NFTs are insanely simple. And that's why people love flipping them. I don't know. But why NFTs? So NFTs back, 3 years ago. Was that 3 years? What is it, 2023? 2020? Yeah, 3 years ago. So basically at the cusp of 2020, there's this small little company called OpenSea that was basically facilitating the trades of these things called NFTs. And at that time, it was literally, it looked like a slideshow. It was like the jankiest website, but they got funded like $2 million from Y Combinator at the time and some other investors. But like everybody on this site and in my Telegram group chats, we're all talking about how NFTs were going to change the world with artists and creatives and musicians. And did that happen? Has the world changed? Has everybody used NFTs these days? No, it has not changed the world. So the reason, though, that people fell in love with NFTs is 4 reasons: unique ownership, scarcity, potential for profit, and then cultural significance. That's it. Like that was the only reason that people decided to trade NFTs all the time, because you could claim that you were unique. This was my Bored Ape number 605.2 or whatever. Scarcity, there was only 10,000 of those images in the world. Potential for profit. I mean, some people were flipping them for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then lastly, everybody was doing it. I mean, even at one point, Jake Paul was promoting NFTs, which was a bad sign for everybody. And so, yeah, let's dive into each of those points though. So NFTs themselves, they can essentially, I don't know, a lot of people back then were saying, hey, NFTs, yeah, that's my digital identity online. Nobody can take that from me. And then you got analytics like this, where it's like, hey, only 50% of your collection is uniquely owned. So, which is bad. I mean, that means that there's not, like, you want that to be as like high as possible. You want 100% unique ownership majority of the time in your collections, but that's what ended up happening. And then we'll go into scarcity. So since each NFT is unique, they're also scarce, drives up value. NBA Top Shot was probably, does anybody know NBA Top Shot? You know what NBA Top Shot is? Yeah. So what did they do? Yeah. NBA Top Shot was probably is still the most successful NFT marketplace. Yeah, I think ever. And that's because they have real IP driving it. Unfortunately, they use a blockchain called Flow, which makes it incredibly hard to do anything outside of Flow. So it's not EVM compatible or anything like that. But anyways, yeah, commonly you'd see this, a lot of people just buying it up. And then you'd see people who owned a lot of crypto would essentially just scoop up all of the scarcity in the space. And yeah. And then potential profit. So this is actually pretty recent. These Bored Apes are regularly getting sold for hundreds, not thousands, you know. There's a one that got sold for like 2.1 million or something last year. But yeah, these things get sold every single day, but it's all contained within probably the same 2,000, 3,000 people. So I mean, it's just, yeah, it's just the same people exchanging money. So yeah, right now, that's kind of what's happening in the space. Is in the beginning, all these really good positives slowly became negatives as traders became more of the focal point for the space. And then lastly, in this last point, cultural significance, we got everyone kind of odd under the sun, like Grimes, Steve Aoki, even surprisingly, Shawn Mendes tried to launch NFT collections with all mixed results. But you can now kind of see why a lot of folks were really excited about NFTs for a bit. Like AVAX and Ripple, or Rippling, sorry, not Rippling, no, Ripple, XRP, they all put $250 million into these creator funds to go and, you know, bring these types of things into mass adoption. But most of those funds are dried up. So anyways, now let's go into popular NFT standards. Okay, to preface, these standards have existed for over 5-6 years. So if you go on like TikTok or YouTube or something like that, you'll probably see someone claiming there's another new standard or whatever that may be. It's not, it's usually the same rehashed stuff over and over again. So here's the ERC 721. So this project type is like the generative ones. So you see how like those 10,000 collections that have like one of one, or, you know, they're all unique. So Bored Ape is like the most popular example. It's called ERC 721. There's, yeah, like you can sound really smart to basically anyone in the space if you say, I prefer ERC 1155 over 721. And they're like, wow, that's a hot take. It's really not. Also very niche. So you'll get why I'm saying that soon. But yeah, but anyway, some other ones are like Cool Cats, Azuki, Valhalla was pretty recent. A few other ones, Nakamigos. Yeah, so bunch of words to you guys, but those are like the popular 721s right now. And then you have the 1155s. So this project type, you can imagine if there's a collection where each token is a unique image with one owner, then that implies the existence of one where there is one image that can have multiple owners. So for example, if you have a gym membership, would you make that a 721 or an 1155? Exactly, 1155. If you were doing a generative art collection, is that going to be a 721 or an 1155? Could be both, actually. So that's a trick question. But anyways, ERC 1155 is probably the most useful out of these two standards. There was like some other really big standard that recently came out. It's actually not that big of a deal. What's up? Yeah, it's not that good. Honestly, it's just wallet stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, overall, it's an interesting piece of tech, but like consumer-wise, no one's gonna get it. But anyways, yeah, so these are the two standards. In NFTs, if anybody's talking to you in like the more technical space regarding NFTs, you just need to know these two things. Okay, so you can sound smart just by dropping any of this knowledge. 721, 1155. So, all right, real quick here. So as I was saying already, ERC 721 has typical associations. So I don't know if you guys heard of like PFP projects, profile pic projects. Yeah, see, yeah, they're pretty lame too, I know. But yeah, PFP were pretty popular back in the day, and that was the whole unique identifier. So they'd have, you know, oh, I'm in this community and I have this NFT, and then they like hyper identify with that particular JPEG. But the other two are like unique identifiers or enormous generative art collections. So people who want to like sell massive amount of art, they typically like using 721. So yeah, the caveat here is the supply does not change. And if you want to expand, you'll need to deploy additional contracts. So I'm assuming if you guys have that baseline of understanding about the blockchain, everything costs gas, right? So every transaction, every change in your contract, every deployment costs some amount of money, right? So you're trying to limit that when you're interacting with the blockchain. But anyways, so that's 721, and then 1155. This is typically what you'll see. So one-of-one art collections. So if your favorite artist is dropping something, they typically want to sell that art to as many people as possible. So they'll put it as an 1155, and then they'll try to sell it to their community in some sense or form. It kind of defeats the purpose of like the whole unique stuff, but like, you know, an artist got to eat. So that's kind of why they do it. But the second one is membership passes. So just like you were saying, whoever said that about the gym passes, that is a very popular type of thing. Is like they're all one of the same image, and they're all an access token into something. So I don't know if you guys have any of you guys heard of the term token gated. Token gated, no? Like token gated events, like Ticketmaster token gating. They're okay. All right. So that's basically they're most of the time they're using ERC 1155 to do those things. So once again, drop a knowledge there. And then lastly, which is probably the most relevant out of all of this, is game asset tokenization. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Unity or Unreal Engine, those types of like game engines. I think Unity just did a like integration with what's that? I think with Metamask. Yeah, I think they just did an integration with Metamask recently to essentially enhance tokenization for game assets. They want to, you know, they want to make money, so you can sell game assets. But yeah, each token is managed like its own contract, so most project owners can operate with just that contract. So basically, you can like launch a token, set its own supply, launch a second one, set its own supply. But in 721, you're like stuck with just whatever you set it. So yeah. That's it. It's very simple stuff. I hope. Was that simple enough? I'm usually talking whenever I demo this stuff. Usually they have like some level of understanding NFTs, but like I assume you guys will pick it up pretty fast. So really not that hard. Very simple. But let's now dive into everybody's favorite NFT marketplaces. Does anybody here know any of the NFT marketplaces that are popular aside from OpenSea? Is this the first time you've heard of NFT marketplaces? All right, that's fine. Good, you're healthy. If you knew what these were, then you're a degenerate, much like myself. So anyways, here's a few of them. So OpenSea, Blur, Rarible, Mintable, Super Rare. I forgot what this one is. But yeah, these are some examples of marketplaces. So basically, a marketplace operates in two ways. One is they also are operated by a smart contract. So a smart contract will go and facilitate stuff. It's known as a storefront contract. And then they have usually a partnership, or they do, and they like scramble through the blockchain for anything ERC 721 or 1155 compatible. So there's a reason those two standards exist, because that's all that OpenSea, Blur, and these marketplaces care about. They've designed their entire infrastructure to look for that template, that type of contract. So yeah, but there's a little more to it though. So here is a nice diagram I found online. I don't actually know most of these marketplaces. That's how fast they rise and fall, because a lot of them don't really last very long. As you can see, there's an NBA Top Shot. It's considered a marketplace. They've categorized 3 different marketplaces. I don't really consider these the 3 types of marketplaces. There's only 2 types of marketplaces. One is a public marketplace. 2 is your custodied marketplace. So that would be like NBA Top Shot, Axie Infinity, CryptoPunks. They all have their own custodied marketplace. But this one, these art marketplaces like Super Rare, Foundation, even Nifty Gateway, I wouldn't even call them marketplaces. They're just like glorified collection storefronts. So, but all of them function the same. They all look for specific types of compatible contracts. So once again, they follow the 721 or 1155 standard. Very easy. Any questions? All right, legal implications. So this is the stuff that's killing the NFT space right now. Gratefully so. So the first one is the securities law. So I don't know if you guys know what this is. You know what this is? The SEC. So right now, the most contentious part of the NFT space is what is the SEC going to do? In fact, there are 2 massive lawsuits happening between Yuga Labs and there's one other one. Can't think of it off the top of my head. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, 2 very, very big representations of the crypto space are being investigated by the SEC. And that is because whenever you're trading things for value that has some sort of distribution or growth to it, the SEC is like, that sounds like a security. So yeah, I don't have much else to show in that sense, but you can kind of make the assumption when you're dealing with like a 10,000 collection and you're earning 5% royalties, it's kind of sounds like a security. So, and then the second thing is copyright. Amazing, right? We are dealing with these things called derivatives. So in the NFT space, there's a very, very popular type of thing that people in the community do, and they call them derivative projects. Can anyone take a guess as to what derivative projects means? Exactly. So these geniuses in the community will literally, because metadata is public, will pull all of the images that are publicly available and make derivative projects off of the available images. And they're called derivative projects. Who's the owner of a derivative project? Is it the person who made the original IP, or is it the person who launched that derivative project? It's a trick question. No one knows. And that's why we're having some real big problems in the space right now. Because one, as you can recall in a previous slide, the contract creator is the one that is listed in the transaction. So is that the person, since they launched the contract, are they the ones that are owed the royalties, or is it the person that launched the original project? Are they the ones owed the royalties? But it's on the blockchain, so no one really knows. It's like the cloud back in like 2014. Where is it stored? Where is the blockchain stored, right? And then lastly, utility in terms of service. So you know that like checkbox every time you log into an application and you say, I agree to sell my soul to this application. So yeah, a lot of projects, dApps, don't really do that right now. And so when they go out of their way to launch these NFTs and their community gets involved and they build all these crazy cool things, things get very, very gray, very, very fast. And so I don't know if you guys have heard of like, oh, we need to include utility in our NFT communities. You heard anyone say that before? Or I'm just a degenerate and I'm just hearing that all the time. Yeah, okay, it's the latter. All right, cool. But basically a lot of these communities, they were scrambling because they bought these NFTs and you couldn't do anything with them. So they're like, what's the utility? And so these project owners, like, because they never set any terms and because of the first point, things were slowly becoming securitized, they started getting scared. And that is why if you look on sites like Cointelegraph or CoinDesk, you'll see that almost every other week, there is some NFT project owner that's getting arrested for fraud. Yay. We love to see it. Why? Because once again, utility, terms of service. So anyways, let's talk about the optimistic stuff, all right? I've been shitting on NFTs since the beginning, so let's talk about why I'm still involved in it if I think they're, kind of questionable. Well, here's 5 easy reasons. So there's this thing called dynamic NFTs. That's pretty cool. Unique experiences, so people creating entire entertainment things with NFTs at the center, replacing SaaS. Okay, does anyone know what SaaS is? I just want to make sure I'm not like SaaS? Anyone? What does SaaS stand for? Okay, good. Okay, we're in a technical space. Good, all right. Yeah, software as a service, so typically subscriptions, right? Token gating, I said that in the beginning. And then lastly, tokenized gaming assets. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons to be excited about NFTs because they're immutable data. So let's dive into some of these case studies. All right, NFTs for e-commerce. All right, who's heard of Shopify? All right, good. Okay, I'm glad. So Shopify was actually one of the first folks to invest in NFT type companies. So I don't know if you guys heard of a company called ThirdWeb, but Shopify's invested in them. Shopify also created an NFT vending machine. I don't know if you guys saw that. No? Yeah, they basically, if you had NFT, you could go in and it would like spit out merch. It's pretty cool, but like, it's kind of it. That was like all it could do. It was like, hey, cool, look at this tech showcase. But yeah, one of the first kind of use cases, we actually have 3 clients right now, 3 users, clients. I don't know what to call them because I don't know who they are. That's the problem with blockchain. I don't know who my customers are. They use our Shopify plugin, and that's how they use it, is they deploy discount codes based on what NFTs you own in your wallet. So it's pretty cool. So you can kind of, distribute discounts depending on who you're dealing with. All right, the second one, Ticketmaster. Yay, but also not yay, because Ticketmaster is bad. But they are also one of the use cases. They heavily believe in NFT ticketing, gating, whatnot, because wherever there's money involved, you for sure know that Ticketmaster is right around the corner. So there you go. I'm not going to dive into that anymore than it needs to be. And then memberships. I took this from somewhere because I didn't want to showcase a few of our competitors because that would just be weird. But NFT memberships, that's really popular. There are like 5 or 6 companies that I've interfaced with that are currently tackling this. All it is you get an NFT and you get access to a Discord. That's it right now. Hopefully it turns into something. I don't know. But then last, the one that everybody is literally very excited about. So this is probably the most relevant news. If you take anything from my lecture, the one thing to look forward to is this game called Dead Drop. It's by this guy. Does anyone know who this guy is? He's not a wrestler. No. No, this is Dr. Disrespect. He's a streamer. He's a popular streamer on YouTube Live. Everybody's been hating on him because he's so adamant that, like, kind of to an insane extent, he's adamant that NFTs are going to change the world. So, but this is very important because he's actually building a AAA game that showcases how NFTs can be used as an add-on versus a center point of the technology. So just keep a lookout for this guy. If anything mainstream happens, it's going to be because of Dr. Disrespect. All right, anyways, we're going to do a live demo. Do you have your laptops? Cool. Did any of you guys download Metamask? Did any of you did you guys fill up on some Mumbai? All right, cool. Well, then we're gonna do this demo together. Yay. Oh shoot. Wait, what image am I gonna use though? All right, that's fine. All right. We're gonna launch an ERC 1155 together. I'm gonna show you how easy it is to launch an NFT these days. It's actually ridiculous because when I first started in the NFT space about 2.5 years ago, you would actually have to copy and paste compiled code, and then you wouldn't even know what your NFT looked like until after you deployed it. So we've made this super, super simple. So just go to minplex.xyz. That's my company. It wasn't obvious. Yeah, we're gonna go through this demo together, and make sure you have at least one JPEG somewhere in your computer. So otherwise you can't follow along. So, all right, I'm gonna assume every one of you got that, and we're just gonna jump straight in. Hell yeah! All right, this is my my MetaMask. So just sign this thing. Don't worry, it's not a virus. Otherwise, I would be fired. I'm just kidding. I can't be fired because this is my company. So, anyways, when you first go in, you will see this. Amazing. Now what do I do next? Oh yeah, that's right. All right. Ignore the unlock Minplex Pro stuff. That's that's the paid stuff. But yeah, we don't need paid. This is mostly free. So make sure you are on Mumbai testnet. So this thing right here, it won't pop up for you until you get into your project. There's some issues with MetaMask. They just pushed this big update. Can't go into it too much, but yeah. But anyways, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to new project. You're gonna see all this lovely stuff. ERC 721, subscription, open edition. So you can see there's a lot of different contracts. You're just gonna go to 1155. All right. So you can go and click this. Boom. It's gonna automatically. Okay, it was supposed to automatically open the project, but I'm just gonna click on it. It's my Minplex project. All right, well, it's supposed to open. I hope you're having more luck than I am. I don't know what's going on. Oh, there we go. All right, I'm just being dumb. All right, cool. Now, make sure you click on Polygon, not ZK EVM, but the Polygon one. So that's why I made you all fill up some Mumbai on Mumbai. So make sure you have some, because I have a lot. I have this much, which is way more than enough to launch stuff. I have 0.8, but we're just going to go through. You can label this anything you want. So this is editable stuff. This is going to go in your contract. All right. So I'm just going to call this I don't know, Berkeley demo. Yeah, I'm boring. All right. I'm just going to do Cal. So all this stuff, this is the stuff that's going to appear within, like, if you guys remember the Etherscan little thing, it's where all this information is going to pop up there. And then details about your project. Some people like to get really fancy. They like to make a dramatic story. That's for a later time. That's not that deep. So there's a demo right now. Royalties. I'm not making anything, so it's 0. Website, if you have a website, this is where you can put it. And that way everybody knows it's your website. And then Twitter handle is there because everybody in the degen space uses Twitter. So it's only gotten worse too. So once you do that, you'll just hit save. You know what? I'll do this just for y'all's sake. So it looks like I have something here. Oh, go away. Go away. All right, cool. There we go. And then from here, we'll continue to features. And here's the glorious part about ERC-1155. There's like barely any features to add. It's all like in here naturally. So our pro features just white label stuff because people like to scrape, you know, the code and they're like, oh, why is Minplex in here? Like, we don't want anyone to know we use the no code tool. And we're like, all right, well, you have to pay for it then. And then yeah, so everything will just be in here. And you're just gonna continue to payouts. So this part, if you have a wallet address and you have, let's say you're doing this in collaboration with a bunch of your friends, you can like infinitely divide it between all of you. It's how most people do it. It's done in payouts. So go from here. We have this thing called teams. It's kind of similar. Like if you're having somebody go in and help manage your project, is what you do. So if you have like a designer or something like that who wants to like see what's up, you can like do that here. Not gonna really deal with it now. And then remember that ramp flight pass thing in the code? This is where you can make it happen. It's just a custom header design. Once again, mostly really random user requests. Like none of the stuff that we added was like because we wanted to. Just like a bunch of anons were like, hey, we want this. And we're like, oh, are you gonna pay for it? They're like, absolutely. So that's why we get this stuff. And so now you go to IPFS. Cool thing is in ERC-1155, you don't have to worry about IPFS until later, until after the contract. In 721, you have to do it before. So yeah, that's why I'm doing the demo with this one. Anyways, go and generate your contract. Once you've done all that, should take a few minutes. I think all of you generating it at once might crash our systems, which is a good thing. I'm just kidding. That's not gonna happen. So but I will say I don't think we've had like 50 concurrent people try to generate a contract. But all it does is just going to compile all of your code. It's mostly a template. It's very, very simple stuff. Did it just go back? Like progressed and then it just like snapped back. What happens? All right. Well, it should generate pretty quickly. I think a lot of us are just generating it, but once it's done generating, it will literally show you your source code. So it'll show you the contract ABI as well as the contract source code. So if you were like, I'm not feeling Minplex, but thanks for the contract, you could just literally copy and paste that contract if you wanted to. We're nice like that, but you just wouldn't be able to use all the other features we have. I don't know if this thing's generating. I'm gonna reload. Okay. Okay, well it's going back up now. There we go. All right. I don't want to stare more awkwardly for 3 more minutes. So but anyways, as you can see here, here's all the contract code. So it's this just huge Solidity file. So if you're ever curious about the inner workings, we don't hide it. It's public. So you can take a look at it. Very simple. Maybe use ChatGPT if you wanted to. I've done it before. It works perfectly fine. They use Open Zeppelin. So yeah, and then here's the contract ABI. So basically it's just to show you all the inputs and outputs that this contract can create. So it's pretty important, not super important for y'all, but anyone who's technical, they always want to see the ABI. So now we get to deploy your first contract into the blockchain. Congratulations, you're considered a no-code dev after this, which is kind of a low bar at this point. But hey, you know, whatever we can do, guys. So anyways, you should see this little modal pop up. All right. If it's anything more than this, that's a bad thing. Let me know. But that means you don't have enough Mumbai in your wallet. But you just go ahead and confirm this transaction. This is going to be the most activity on Polygon ever, or on Mumbai. So I don't know if we break the Mumbai blockchain right now. I don't know what to tell you. Polygon's one of the worst blockchains. So we're doing it because they're cheap. So yeah, I think it worked. Let's see. So if you follow along, Polygon scan should show a cool. Yeah, the transaction was a success. Make sure you're seeing something like this. Do you guys see all this in your laptop? Okay, cool. There you go. Congrats, you just launched your first smart contract. Yay. An 1155 to boot. But it's only on testnet, so it doesn't count. Once you launch to mainnet, that's when it actually matters. But this is testnet, so it's all free. But cool. So now that it's been done, okay, we're just gonna, it's already been verified. I know that. So let's see here. Yep, contract's been verified. We're good. Look in here, all the code is available, and we're all good. All right, so now we're gonna go to the contract dashboard. So this is where you need to prepare your images. So in testnet, there's literally only like a few things. It's just the mint status is open, and then we're gonna create your first token. So if you know what you're doing, you can go and use like a custom metadata CID or whatever, but you probably don't. So we're just gonna go together and do it the manual way. The token names, this is gonna be cool Berkeley token. I don't know. Number 1. There we go. Token description for a demo. And then we can add some traits. So this process is us creating the metadata for this token. So, and I'm going to show you where all this pops up in the marketplace. So it's actually pretty cool. So you have a trait name, I don't know, the time. And then I could say like 1400. It really doesn't matter. It's very arbitrary. You can name these traits anything. Some people do like colors. Some people do levels if it's a game asset, all that type of stuff. So it's pretty arbitrary. Just say color is blue. There you go. And then that should be enough. And then from here, we're going to actually put the image into IPFS. So the cool thing is, since it's only one image, we actually facilitate this for you. So let's do the favicon for Mint Foundry. Let's see if that works. Nice. There we go. I love using promo images. All right. So this should take a second, and it's actually just gonna up this in IPFS. Pretty cool. So it'll generate an IPFS hash because it's been uploaded. So we're gonna hit continue. Now this optionally, if you want to make like a music NFT or like a movie NFT or whatever, this is where you would upload like an HTML or like a movie file or something. So there are a lot of musicians love using 1155. So that's why we give them that option, but we're not going to put anything in here. Unless you guys have an animation you can put, but otherwise, this is it. This is your metadata. So as you can see, it looks very similar to what I was showing you guys earlier. The flight pass, you got the name, description, image, attributes. And then as you can see, the image itself has a nice, beautiful IPFS hash because we made it for you. And then once you do that, you're going to hit upload and it'll generate another IPFS hash. I think. There you go. And now after that, you can do a bunch of fancy stuff with the, I don't know. There's a bunch of toggles. Once again, a lot of requests from users. So it just becomes this mess, but whatever you want it to be. So open minting, open edition, token is tradable, token supply, etc. I'm just going to stick with the default. And then mint fee will be 0. We'll make it a free one. And then it'll show you a little nice little preview. And then once you do this, it's going to ask you to do another transaction. And then you've officially made your first NFT. That's it. It is that simple to make stuff now on the blockchain. Better. Oh, actually, even if you guys wanted to do a fungible token, you could also do that. It's that easy to now too. So cool. And then it'll appear right here under token management. Voila, you've made your first NFT. If you want to see what it looks like, you can actually go to OpenSea, and if this works, it'll actually showcase within OpenSea's like testnet site. that it's live. So your stuff is now public, technically, even though it's on testnet. OpenSea is also notoriously slow. So I don't know if this is ever going to load. And this is like even with my Wi-Fi at home. So as you can imagine, my life is an endless cycle of suffering. But that's okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. But anyways, yeah. So typically if you press that, it's going to open up that, and then that's your collection. And you're good. I don't know if it's ever going to open, guys. I'm going to be honest here. Polygon is the worst supported blockchain on OpenSea, but it's okay. Anyways, that's it. You've just now, if you followed along perfectly well, you've just launched your first NFT contract as well as your first token. And you're now better than 90% of our own users. There you go. We have no idea how many questions we get about how to do this. And it's ridiculous because it's that easy. It really doesn't take much. But then again, you guys are Berkeley students, so it's good. All right, let's see if this probably works. It would be cool if it worked, but if it doesn't, you'll just have to like look at your stuff on your own time. But anyways, there you go. Now we're live. So that was the whole thing. It's that easy now to launch an NFT and go and make your own Bored Ape collection. I don't know, do something cool with it, because we definitely need more people making cool stuff in this space. But to bring your attention here, we have a few other like tools and stuff. It's not super important. It's like snapshots, sign up pages, minting sites, etc. Those are all tools if you get really in the weeds that all of our users ask for. So they're there. I'm not going to dive into it too much, but if you have questions, you can let me know. Okay, now we're going to do a more interesting demo. So this one was how to launch your NFT. Now we're actually going to showcase how NFTs can be used in a more interesting and practical setting. So if I bring your attention back to this bad boy, we have the chain slayers. So if you go here, chainslayers.minplex.xyz. If any of y'all ever played the Doom series, the Doom game? Anybody? Doom series? Cool, nice. So we basically, my co-founder, he spent a weekend just essentially ripping out a bunch of the code and like actually implemented events and whatnot, and it actually uses NFTs. So if you guys did what I asked and you have some Gorley ETH in your wallets, actually go in here and oh shoot, all right, let's see if it's in my, is it in mine? Yeah, if it's not in here, you can actually, okay, yeah, I have mine. Oh, I did another demo, so like I can change that. I can change that. So don't worry, we can fix this. But on your end, if you have a computer, you can actually go to the right and you can actually do mint a free chain slayer. So you can follow along here. So it's Gorley, so you can just go connect your wallet, and you know, if you have Gorley ETH, it's free, so it's not gonna cost you anything. But once you do, you can go back, once it's been done, back to chain slayers and do live mode. And then what's really cool here is you can go to edit, and we have these dog tags, and you can actually go in and change the name. So Berkeley demo are immutable. Well, this is the exception. So in dynamic NFTs, you can actually use things like this to create and make your NFTs change, right? So I just changed this to Berkeley demo, right? And then if I go to OpenSea, you should actually see if OpenSea is working today. This will mess up my demo tremendously, but you should see it changed from your mom to Berkeley demo. Yeah, it doesn't look like that's it's cooperating today. But you know, imagine it in your heads. It'll change. That was going to be the whole thing here. And the cool thing is that once you actually start playing the game, all of that information is tracked in the NFT itself. So it'll dynamically update within the NFT itself as you're playing the game. And so as you can see here, the kills, the deaths, skill level, playtime, all that stuff will get changed once you're inside. And that's it. So this would have been a way cooler demo if like things were actually working, but you know, tech and blockchain. The one thing you guys have to understand is that in Web3, everything breaks. That's why it's great. But I love it so much. I'm not actually playing this game though right now. So because I can't show you the collection. So yeah, we're just gonna have to table that. So on your own time, if you want, you can go in, test it out yourself, try to mint something, and then see as the metadata itself will start changing. But yeah, let me see. On the left here, as I showed you guys on the NFT itself, see how the traits, color, and time show up here? That's, if you actually go into the token itself, it would have shown you where the traits were. Sadly, demo not as cool this time. When I showed TIFF and stuff, it would actually work. So it's a little sad, but we'll work with what we got. Anyways, with that, that ends my lecture. So hopefully that wasn't too boring. But like I said, NFTs in itself have a lot of they have a lot of practical use cases. It's just a lot of infrastructure is not built yet. So, you know, it's an uphill battle from here. But any questions about NFTs or anything? Yeah. So there's several types of EVM chains that we like Arbitrum, Optimism, and to some extent Binance. It's really all about like where people are transacting, right? So NFTs, because they're like a digital asset, like there needs to be some sort of currency that's interacting with that asset. And so the more activity on that chain, it's the more ideal place for you to have like that NFT sitting there. Our criteria for adopting a chain is whether or not they have a marketplace. So every chain typically has its own marketplace, or a bigger marketplace might adopt that chain in their infrastructure. So yeah, but like Mumbai, Polygon, like Polygon is like the worst chain, but for some reason, everyone and their moms want to use Polygon because it's cheap and it's good for games. And like the problem with Solana is like infrastructure is not quite exactly where it wants to be, but like ideally people use Solana, but it's like, you know, we're stuck with Polygon. So yeah. Any other questions? Anything? Yo. As it stands to the ground, but with time, I think a lot more folks, as you start building stuff, you'll see that it's really just a public database, right? So I used to be, before I started the company, I used to be a data analyst, product analyst, and then I did some analytics engineering. So what brought me into the space was the fact that data could be permissionlessly used, right? Which is something that when you're dealing with bigger companies, you need permission to access data. You need permission to see transactions. And so once speed picks up and once, you know, infrastructure around this type of technology is established, I mean, it's just a really nice, big, fat data set. So that's basically, I think, where things are going to end up going. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things go. Right now, it's like, you know, a lot of stuff is already super cheap. It's super cheap to run your own servers. It's super cheap to do cloud. So it's like, unless cost makes sense, I mean, you're not going to see much adoption for a while. So yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't going to demo this, but you can see this thing we actually just launched recently. So it's actually called Recyclables. So you actually, if you guys want, you can actually log into this thing, but it's called the Recyclable NFT. And what you can do is it's actually based on a timestamp. So if you go in and mint one, you will actually get access to a special episode of our podcast for it's like 5 minutes. It's just us memeing, but like basically that was the point, is that basically this is a limited supply and all that type of stuff, and it expires. So once it expires, you can remint over and over again. So basically that unlocks a recurring revenue model that doesn't currently exist. And so that's what I mean by replacing SaaS. Because right now, when you run a business and you see how much Stripe takes from you once you're hitting certain volumes, kind of like, man, I wish there was an alternative to Stripe. Especially like once you're hitting like millions of volume, they're taking like 15% from your like margins. That's a lot of money. Like, anyway, so that's why a lot of people, they're really excited about this type of product. It's because it's time stamped. So you can actually do this 10 minutes, like 10 months, 10 years, and it expires. So once the supply like hits a cap, once something expires, people can remint it. So you can actually put a cap on your community and actually encourage some level of like subscriptions that, that like is really missing in the NFT space. Since, as I said, immutable data makes it very hard because now, people can permanently own something. So your community is always capped. But that's what I mean. So we actually launched this publicly. So if you remember scrolling through our project types, there's this one called subscription NFTs. That's this. We just productized it like last week. Took us like 6 months. It's kind of complex, but like it's really cool. But but that's what I mean. So any other questions? Give me what's up, dude?
What advice do you have to someone who's interested in this space, maybe has yet to build?
Oh, okay. So we get a lot of users from Nigeria, and a lot of them don't know anything about NFTs, yet they're commonly making like $23,000, which is like insane amounts of money from this tech. And the reason is that in blockchain, the ROI is absolutely crazy because you can launch something for like $20 and you're more than likely going to make 1,000% from that return. And that's simply because of traders. And so basically what I'm saying is that it's even in a place that has very little money, they're excited about this technology because the barrier to entry is actually very, very low. The ROI is very high and the barrier to entry is very, very low. And so my encouragement is that because no-code tools like us exist, things like Manifold, our competitors, et cetera, like with as much as $5, you can like launch something that like could net you way more because somebody finds some sort of value to it. And so, so all I'm saying is like, don't be afraid of the blockchain. Like, sure, you have to pay every time you change something, but it's honestly it's in its most like interesting stage because so many things are like in flux. So like, I mean, when I was going to school here in 2015, like everybody was talking about Coinbase. Like Coinbase was like still on the up and up. Does anybody remember? Does anybody accounts here? Okay. Yeah. So like I was like, I'm not old, all right, but like I was part of like the beta for Coinbase, which is kind of nuts. And like now, like the people's portfolios in Coinbase is like incredibly high, and not because it's like a sham value or anything, but a lot of people started seeing value outside of the US for this type of technology. Because remember, outside of the US, there's no financial infrastructure. There's barely any. In fact, who can guess what the two biggest regions in the world that love like this type of stuff? What are the two biggest regions in the world that don't have financial structure? Yeah. India, you said? India is one of them, but actually it's not the biggest region in the world that's using this technology. So who can guess what the biggest region is using NFTs in the blockchain? It'll surprise you because it surprised us. We're just like, why are we getting so many of these users? We don't understand what they're saying. It's LATAM, Latin America. In fact, like because of how bad their financial infrastructure is, because if you guys have ever traveled through like Venezuela or any of those countries in Latin America, they have to literally arm people to like defend shipments and stuff. So people's money, cash, is very, very easily stolen, and banks themselves will embezzle and use people's funds. So what do? They turn to Bitcoin, they turn to ETH, they turn to Binance. So LATAM and Southeast Asia are actually the two largest regions in the world that are using this technology. It's the reason that they're getting really, really fast and adopting things. I think what El Salvador, which is that country that like put like 90% of their treasury into Bitcoin. Remember that? So, who was that? El Salvador, yeah. And that's why, because they don't believe in their own banks. Oh yeah, because that, I mean, dude, that was dumb. I mean, it was just very, very dumb. But the reason he did that wasn't because, you know, he was like trying to ape into it. It was because a good chunk of their population was using Bitcoin and ETH and a bunch of other cryptocurrencies to store their money. So yeah, so if it gives you anything, any thought, those are where the space is moving. Like even if the US falls behind, there is an enormous need in the world for financial services that are equivocated to what the US can provide. And honestly, the blockchain's the best solution for it. So yeah, think in that direction if you guys are interested in doing something in this space. I mean, those are the ones getting funding. A lot of them are getting funding, actually. A lot of neobanks. So, but yeah, any other questions I can answer? Could be related to this, or running a company, or YC, or whatever you want. I still have some time. If not, you can easily shoot me an email. I provided it there. Yeah, I'm more than open to answering any questions you guys may have, or you guys may have. And I'm more than happy to, just kind of give blanket advice in regards to, you know, participating in space. We need smarter people because the general population of people we interact with on a day-to-day basis using this technology and building is not quite there. And we like, I will say, I keep saying this every single year, and I've only been doing this for a year and a half, so I'm saying this twice in the same year, is that we need more people building in this space, and there's a lot of room to build. So you just got to find interesting use cases. And honestly, the cool thing is, and I don't know if any of you guys do any product type of stuff, is that if you're looking for users, this is the one space where you can literally throw something at the wall and you'll find yourself with 100 users. I can't say that about any other industry when you're building a product, but Web3 is absolutely insane when it comes to people wanting to experiment with technology. So that's all I can tell you. So, but anyways, yeah, if you guys don't want to ask questions here, you feel free to come up to me. But that's it. Thank you guys for having me. So.
Okay, thank you so